part A of this two-part series on building the belly pan, we created the belly pan's basic structure. Now it's time to add access for the wing hold-down bolts and to add some scale detail for the belly pan as well.
I actually made some tick marks on the outside where the wing hold-down bolts are, so I've transferred that to here and here. I'm gonna start with the 10 mm bit and just kind of start enlarging it. Now the bolt isn't this big, but I do have a nylon washer on it, so I need to at least make the hole big enough to clear the washer. The wing bolt washer is about a 32nd of an inch shy of ½ an inch, so I have a slightly oversized hole here. I made up a paper conduit just like I made it for the aileron, servo wires for the wing. Same thing, just paper wrapped around a ½ inch dowel, CA'd. And it fits pretty good in the hole. In the meantime of thinking about this one, I went ahead and cut this along. If I have the fabric coming over, it would probably only be about maybe a 1/4 inch high, 6 mm, maybe 3/8, something like that. So this will be tall enough, and then I can cut it down later. I think for this one, what I may have to end up doing is just gluing on an extension. I think that'll be okay. In the meantime, I've already tack glued this one in. I got the bolt out. It came out easily with the washer. Okay, so I just glued on an extension to this one, and it's fine. It's plenty strong. For this purpose, it's merely a guide. One more little scale feature that I wanted to add, which I think is pretty neat. The real airplane appears to have stringers on the bottom, and it's fabric covered going around. So the sides are covered and the bottom is covered. That fabric appears from the photos, kind of runs along the backrest, I guess if you would call it, for the cockpit, and then comes up to right about here and goes over. And that part up to here appears to be fabric covered, and then from here forward, there appears to be sheeting, as far as I can tell. Some of those pictures are really hard for me to tell, but it looks like this is sheeting. So the stringers, they appear to start right at the end of the gear, and they go forward, and as they go forward, they diverge a little bit to right about the trailing edge of the wing. And then from there, they seem to kind of come back together a little bit and then disappear into the fabric or the sheeting up toward the firewall. Now I won't be able to do it exactly at scale because of my wing join right here. The real airplane has the fabric coming through here and over, but this is going to prevent that without looking really bad. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do fabric on the bottom, sides bottom, take the fabric to here, and then I'll just have the fabric come in here. And then this part, I'm going to fiberglass with the wing. But then from here over to here, this section right here, I'm going to make this all fabric. I'm not going to have the simulated sheeting forward to here. I'm just going to make this fabric. I think that'll probably be easiest, and it'll also be a little bit lighter too than having to build up a structure to sheet and then fiberglass. So that's my intention. The stringers back here at the back, they appear to just kind of go into the covering and kind of disappear. So I'll taper this way down and then bring this up. This would be about 3/8 of an inch. I really can't tell how far these stringers stick down from the bottom, but looking at that cutaway view I have, it appears to be about a, I don't know, a couple inch, 1 or 2 inch steel bar that these stringers actually are. So I'm going to make it 3/8 of an inch, and then I'll have a join right here between the fuselage and the wing, and then another 3/8 inch, and I'll have it go down to this is about 1/8 of an inch, I think. Have it disappear into this, And then I haven't got it on the model yet, but I'll have a little strip of wood here on both sides, and that way that gives me the front, the sides, and this back former and the two stringers to attach the fabric to. I think the bottom stringers are complete. I'm pretty happy with them. You can see how they, as they go forward to the trailing edge of the wing, they kind of diverge away from each other, and then they sort of kind of come back together at the cowl. And they also tapers down to where it's flush with the tail wheel mounting plate. And it gets a little bit bigger up to the trailing edge, and then sort of tapers again back to the cowl. The little pads here that I made, this is just for the fabric, in case I need to glue the fabric down here. That provides a little gluing area for that. And then the side balsa, also gluing area for the fabric. The only other thing really to take care of is this leading edge part here. It sits a little bit proud of the ply plate, and I think looking at some pictures of the real aircraft, you know, these are home built, and some of them have a cover for their landing gear plate. So I think I'm gonna do that. I think it's a nice little feature, kind of finishes the airplane off, hides the bolts, but I'll have to wait to trim this until after I make this gear cover. So I think that's going to be the next thing to work on. So as you see, I did have to go in and round over my stringers so it would look a little bit like tubing. It always helps to round these things over so they don't have a square surface for the fabric to attach to. It just makes it look a little bit better. Working on this landing gear box, first thing I've done is stripped a couple of pieces of balsa so that the height is right in line with the tops of these bolts, trying to keep this as low profile as possible. Then I tacked them in place with some rubber cement, still a little bit flexible, but just good enough to hold these in place until the top can be glued on. So I cut a top. It's cross grain sheeting, and it would go something like this right here. But I'm not sure if I'm gonna like this. As you can see, it's really gonna stick up. I just don't know if it's gonna look good. So for now, I'm gonna go ahead and glue this top on, and then I'll remove the whole thing, and I can go ahead and fiberglass it when I do everything else, and then really decide if I want to add this. It does do a nice job of covering up the bolts. To really have done this right though, I should have embedded the landing gear more into the ply mounting plate. But I would have had to really brought it down. I mean, I think this is about 3/8 of an inch, so I'd have to really bring it down. Anyway, we'll see how it goes. Finishing up with this little box. After gluing it up, I round it over both edges, knock off that sharp edge. If I do use it, I will glue it in place with rubber cement, just like I did the sides. The rubber cement, it does a good job of holding the part on in flight. I've done this before with other parts. And for now, I'm just gonna tack it in place, but if I need to take the part off, take this little cover off, it'll come off easy enough. And if I, remove the landing gear and bring it back when it's time to replace this part, just add a little bit more rubber cement. I think it does a nice job.